Do-hyun fell out of the portal and onto the white platform. He gasped, sucking in air like a drowning man. The glowing symbols on the ground faded and the great arch behind him went dark and silent once more. "He's alive," someone shouted. Dozens of beings rushed toward him. Commander Velrith reached him first, her forearms checking him for injuries. "How long were you in there? What happened? Can you speak?" "I'm okay," Do-hyun managed to say. His voice was rough from disuse. "How long was I gone?" 48 hours, High Archon Thesia said, walking slowly toward him. Her white eyes studied him carefully. "You are only the third person in recorded history to survive the portal. And you bear the mark." Do-hyun looked at his hand. The constellation patterns still glowed there, swirling slowly across his skin like living tattoos. They didn't hurt, but they felt warm and strange. "What does it mean?" he asked. Thesia's expression was troubled. "It means you are Paragon now, whether you want to be or not." Over the next few hours, Do-hyun was taken to a medical facility within the station. Doctors from a dozen different species examined him, speaking in excited voices about his readings. They couldn't understand what the mark did, but they could measure its energy output. It was significant. While the doctors worked, Do-hyun learned more about where he was. The Convergence Station orbited a neutron star at the center of 7 allied civilizations. It was a neutral meeting ground where representatives from hundreds of worlds came to trade, negotiate, and resolve disputes. The platform where he'd crashed, Platform 0, was the oldest and most sacred part of the station. No one was supposed to land there ever. "You violated about 50 different laws," a young human woman told him. She stood in the doorway of his medical room, arms crossed. She had short black hair and wore a formal diplomatic suit. "I'm Jiwoo, by the way, human diplomatic attaché to the Convergence. I've been trying to do damage control, but it's not going well." "I didn't mean to crash there," Do-hyun said. "My ship malfunctioned." "I know. Doesn't matter. Half the galaxy thinks you're a prophesied savior. The other half thinks you're a dangerous anomaly who should be locked up or studied." Jiwoo sat down next to his bed. "It's going to get complicated." She was right. Within a day, news of Do-hyun's portal activation spread across the galaxy. Ships from dozens of worlds arrived at the Convergence, all demanding to see the human who had become a paragon. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Do-hyun was brought before them, still wearing the simple clothes he'd crashed in. The council chamber was enormous, with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Representatives from species he'd never seen before stared down at him. Ambassador Taemin, Earth's representative, tried to speak on his behalf. He was an older man with gray hair and a calm demeanor. "Members of the council, Do-hyun is a civilian who found himself in extraordinary circumstances. He should be returned to Earth and allowed to live his life in peace." Peace? A massive reptilian being stood up from its seat. Its scales were red and black and its eyes glowed yellow. "The portal has not opened in 300 years. When it does, it's always a sign of great change. We cannot ignore this." "General Krask speaks truth," said another representative, this one appearing as a floating orb of energy. "But what kind of change? Is this human a blessing or a curse?" The debate raged for hours. Do-hyun sat quietly, feeling overwhelmed. These beings were discussing his fate as if he wasn't even there. Finally, High Archon Thesia raised her hand and the chamber fell silent. "There is an ancient prophecy," she said. "When the portal opens for the unproven, the galaxy faces its greatest trial. The new paragon will either unite the stars or watch them fall." The chamber erupted in noise. Some representatives shouted in fear, others in anger. General Krask, the reptilian leader, pointed a clawed finger at Do-hyun. "Then we must test him," Krask bellowed. "If he truly has power, let him prove it. If not, the portal's judgment is false, and we should study him to understand why." "He's not a laboratory experiment," a new voice said from the entrance. Everyone turned. A young woman walked into the chamber, ignoring the protests of the guards. She wore a white coat over casual clothes, and her eyes burned with anger. Do-hyun's heart leaped. "Yuna!" He stood up from his seat. "Sit down, Do-hyun. I'm handling this." Yuna walked right up to the council platform, unafraid. "I'm Dr. Kim Yuna, xenobiological researcher and this man's sister. I traveled 3 days to get here when I heard what happened. Now I find him being treated like property instead of a person." "Dr. Kim, you cannot simply—" Ambassador Taemin tried to interject. "I can and I will," Yuna interrupted. "My brother is a good person. Whatever happened in that portal, whatever mark he carries, he's still human. He has rights. You can't just hand him over to be experimented on. General Krask laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Brave, this human. I respect courage. But bravery doesn't change facts. Your brother carries power that could affect the entire galaxy. We must understand it. Then let him stay here, Jiwoo suggested, standing up. At the convergence. Neutral ground. He can be observed but not imprisoned. He can work with us to understand his abilities but on his own terms. The council debated more. Finally, they reached a compromise. Do-hyun would remain at the convergence station for 6 months. During that time, he would learn to control his abilities under supervision. After 6 months, the council would decide his fate based on what they learned. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than the alternatives. Do-hyun was given quarters in the residential sector of the station. Yuna refused to leave his side, using her credentials as a researcher to secure a position studying the biological effects of the portal. Jiwoo visited often, helping him understand the politics of the situation. You have to be careful, Jiwoo warned him one evening. Every species here has their own agenda. Some want to use you, others want to eliminate you as a threat. Trust no one completely. But Do-hyun struggled with a different problem. He didn't understand his new abilities. The resonance, as the witness had called it, activated randomly. One day, he was talking to a maintenance worker who seemed depressed. Do-hyun felt the urge to help, and when he touched the worker's shoulder, the constellation mark on his hand glowed. Suddenly, the worker stood straighter, eyes bright with renewed purpose. I just remembered why I love this job, the worker said, amazed. Thank you. Another time, Do-hyun was trying to fix a broken datapad. He touched it and the resonance activated. He suddenly understood exactly what was wrong and how to fix it, as if the device was explaining itself to him. It responds to genuine desire to help, Yuna observed, taking notes. It's not something you can force or use selfishly. Fascinating. Commander Velrith began training him in self-defense. A Paragon always faces challenges, she said, leading him through combat exercises in the station's gym. You must be ready. Despite her stern exterior, Velrith was a good teacher. She told him about the previous Paragons she'd heard of in legends. Warriors who could destroy planets, diplomats who ended thousand-year wars, scientists who unlocked the secrets of the universe. I'm not like them, Do-hyun said after a particularly exhausting training session. No, Velrith agreed. You're something different. Maybe better. They were great before the portal chose them. You're becoming great because it chose you. 3 months into his stay, Do-hyun was helping organize a peace talk between 2 minor species when the alarms rang through the station. Not the normal alarms. These were deep and loud, making the walls vibrate. What's happening? Do-hyun asked, his heart racing. Jiwoo burst into the room, her face pale. We're receiving distress signals from the outer rim. Multiple systems. They're under attack. By who? Velrith demanded, already reaching for her weapons. We don't know. The signals are wrong. They're filled with static and screaming. The last clear message said something about darkness consuming entire planets. High Archon Thessia called an emergency meeting. Representatives rushed to the council chamber in various states of panic. Images appeared on the screens around the room, showing deep space near the galaxy's edge. Do-hyun felt cold when he saw them. Entire star systems were going dark. Not destroyed, but consumed, as if something was eating the light itself. The darkness spread from system to system like a disease. The Void Collective has awakened, Thessia said quietly. After 1,000 years of sleep, it has returned. The Void Collective? Do-hyun asked. Velrith's face had gone completely white. An ancient enemy. A hive mind that converts everything it touches into more of itself. It took the combined might of 6 Paragons to seal it away, and they died doing it. General Krask stood up, his voice deadly serious for once. And now it's free. How? The seal should have held for another millennium. All eyes turned to Do-hyun. He felt their stares like physical weight. No, he whispered. I couldn't have, but Thessia's expression said otherwise. The portal's activation released a surge of energy. It may have weakened the seal, or... She hesitated. Or this is the trial the prophecy spoke of. Yuna grabbed Do-hyun's arm. This isn't your fault. You didn't know. But guilt crashed over him anyway. Entire worlds were dying, and it might be because he touched a symbol on the ground. Because the portal had chosen him. Do-hyun landed on his hands and knees, gasping for air. The ground beneath him felt solid but looked like flowing water. reflecting a sky that couldn't exist. Stars swirled in patterns that made his eyes hurt. Buildings rose and fell in the distance, appearing and vanishing like memories. "Hello?" he called out. His voice echoed strangely, coming back to him in different languages. "Welcome, Do-hyun." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. It sounded kind, like a teacher he'd once had in school. "I am the witness. I have watched over this place since before your species learned to make fire." Do-hyun stood up slowly, turning in circles. He still couldn't see who was speaking. "Where am I? What is this place?" "You are inside the portal of Ascended Ones. This is where we test those who seek to become paragons." "But you are unusual. You did not seek this. The portal called to you." "I want to go home," Do-hyun said. His voice shook. "I have a sister waiting for me, Yuna. She worries when I'm late." "You may leave," the witness said. "But only after the trials. Those who enter must be tested. It is the law written into the fabric of this place. I cannot break it even if I wish to." Before Do-hyun could protest, the ground shifted beneath him. The flowing surface became solid stone. He stood in a narrow valley between two cliffs. Smoke rose in the distance, and he heard screaming. Do-hyun ran toward the sound. As he got closer, he saw a village on fire. People ran in all directions, screaming in panic. They looked human, but Do-hyun knew they weren't real. They shimmered at the edges like holograms. "These are echoes," the witness explained. "Projections of possibility. What you do here reflects who you are." A burning building collapsed in front of Do-hyun. He heard a child crying inside. At the same moment, he saw a clear path out of the village leading to safety. He could run. No one would blame him. These weren't real people. But the crying sounded real. Do-hyun ran into the burning building. The heat hit him like a wall, but he pushed through. He found a small girl huddled under a table, coughing from the smoke. He grabbed her and ran back out just as the roof collapsed behind them. The girl vanished from his arms like mist. The village disappeared. Do-hyun stood back in the empty valley, breathing hard. His clothes weren't even singed. "Interesting," the witness said. "You chose to help even knowing it was not real. The first trial is complete. First, how many are there?" "As many as needed." The valley changed again. This time, Do-hyun found himself in a white room with no doors or windows. A mirror appeared on the wall in front of him. He saw himself, but the reflection spoke with his voice. "Look at you," the reflection said with a sneer. "You're nobody. You deliver boxes for a living. You barely passed your pilot's exam. Your sister is brilliant, and you're just ordinary." Do-hyun flinched. Those were his own thoughts, his own fears speaking back to him. "You're not a hero," the reflection continued. "You're not special. You're not chosen. This is all a mistake, and everyone knows it. High Archon Thessia knows. Commander Velrith knows. Even you know." "Stop," Do-hyun whispered. "Why did the portal open for you?" "There's no reason. You've never saved anyone. You've never done anything important. You're going to fail these trials, and everyone will see how ordinary you really are." Do-hyun felt tears on his face. Every word hurt because it was true. He wasn't special. He had no great achievements. He was just a guy trying to make enough money to help his sister with her research. "You're right," he said quietly. The reflection seemed surprised. "I'm ordinary. I'm not a legendary hero. I don't have amazing powers or a destiny, but I'm not nobody." He stepped closer to the mirror. "I work hard. I try to be kind. I help when I can, even in small ways. Maybe that's not legendary, but it's something. It's who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it." The reflection's sneer faded. It looked at Do-hyun with something like respect. Then the mirror shattered into light and the white room disappeared. "The second trial is complete," the witness said, and now its voice sounded warmer. "You faced your truth without hiding from it. Many fail here. Their pride blinds them. How many more?" Do-hyun asked, feeling tired. "One more. The most difficult." The world shifted again. Do-hyun stood in a maze made of crystal walls. He could see through them, but they were solid when he touched them. The maze stretched in all directions, impossibly complex. At the center, far in the distance, he could see a glowing exit. "Find the way out," the witness said simply. Do-hyun started walking. He tried going left but hit a dead end. He tried right and found the same. He backtracked and tried different paths, but each one led nowhere. Hours passed. At least it felt like hours. Time seemed strange in this place. His feet hurt. He was thirsty. The maze seemed to change when he wasn't looking. Making paths he'd already tried different. He sat down, frustrated and exhausted. "I can't solve this," he said. "It's impossible." "Many have said that," the witness replied. "Some spent years here before giving up. Some are still trying." "Years?" Do-hyun looked around at the endless crystal walls. The idea of being trapped here for years terrified him. But the witness had said he couldn't leave without completing the trials. He stood up. His legs shook, but he forced himself to move. He tried another path. Dead end. He tried another. Dead end. He kept going. Days passed, or what felt like days. Do-hyun stopped thinking about the exit and just focused on taking the next step. When he hit a dead end, he turned around and tried again. When he got tired, he rested, then got up and continued. He didn't think about winning or solving the puzzle. He just refused to stop. Sometimes he talked to himself to stay sane. He told stories about his sister, about their childhood, about the time they snuck into a museum after hours just to see the stars through the telescope. He sang songs he only half remembered. He counted his steps. At some point, he realized the maze was responding to him, not to his intelligence or his strategy, but to his persistence. Each time he got back up after resting, the walls seemed a little more transparent. Each time he tried a new path without complaining, the maze grew a little smaller. Finally, after what might have been weeks, Do-hyun walked through a crystal arch and found himself at the center. The exit glowed before him, warm and welcoming. "The third trial is complete," the witness said, and now its voice was full of something like pride. "You understand now." "Understand what?" Do-hyun asked. He was too tired to feel proud of himself. The portal does not seek the powerful or the accomplished. It seeks potential. Every paragon who came before entered after proving themselves in the galaxy. They were already legendary. "But you," the witness paused. "You are the first to enter before becoming a legend." The portal opened because it saw what you could become, not what you are. A figure appeared before Do-hyun. It was made of light and looked ancient. This was the witness finally showing itself. "I have been here for eons," it said. "I have tested thousands. Most fail. Some pass but become corrupt with power. A few become true paragons. But I have never seen someone like you. Humans are new to the galaxy, but you have something the older species have forgotten. What's that? The ability to keep trying when all hope is lost. The willingness to be kind without reward. The strength to admit weakness." The witness touched Do-hyun's hand and he felt warmth spread through him. "You pass the trials not through greatness but through goodness. Now I grant you the Paragon's gift." Light exploded from the witness's touch. Patterns appeared on Do-hyun's hand, swirling constellations that glowed with soft gold. He felt different but not stronger. He felt connected, like he could sense the potential in everything around him. "What did you do to me?" he asked. "I gave you resonance," the witness said. "The ability to see and inspire the best in others, to understand problems at their core, to bring out the potential that sleeps in all beings. Use it wisely, Do-hyun. Great trials await you." The world began to fade. Do-hyun felt himself being pulled away back toward the real world. "Wait," he called out. "What trials? What do I do now?" But the witness's voice was already distant. "You will know when the time comes. Trust yourself." Then Do-hyun was falling again through light and color, tumbling back toward the world he'd left behind. Do-hyun hated the red warning lights. They always meant trouble, and right now his entire cargo ship was filled with them. The alarm screamed in his ears as he pulled levers and pressed buttons, trying anything to stop the ship from tearing itself apart. Come on," he muttered, his hands shaking. He was just supposed to deliver medical supplies to the Mars colony. Simple job. Easy money. But his navigation system had other ideas. The screen in front of him showed numbers that made no sense. His location kept jumping between coordinates that shouldn't exist. Then the ship lurched hard to the left and Do-hyun slammed against his seat harness. Through the window, space itself seemed to split open, revealing a swirling tunnel of purple and blue light. No. Do-hyun yanked the control stick, but the ship didn't respond. The tunnel pulled him in like water down a drain. Everything went white. When Do-hyun opened his eyes, he was falling. His ship screamed through an alien sky, spinning out of control. Below him was a massive station, bigger than any city on Earth. It looked like a silver flower floating in space, with platforms spreading out like petals. His ship crashed into one of the upper platforms with a terrible grinding sound. Do-hyun sat in the wreckage for a moment, breathing hard. His heart pounded. He checked himself for injuries and found only bruises. The medical supply containers in the back had broken open, scattering bandages and medicine everywhere. He climbed out of the ruined ship and looked around. The platform was made of some kind of white metal that seemed to glow from within. Strange symbols covered the floor, pulsing with soft light. At the center of the platform stood an enormous arch, easily 30 feet tall. It was made of black stone that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Do-hyun had never seen anything like it. He took a step closer, curious despite his fear. The arch stood silent and dark. Then his foot touched one of the glowing symbols on the ground. Everything changed. The arch roared to life. The black stone began to glow with golden light that spread through cracks in its surface. The symbols on the ground blazed brighter, creating a pattern that connected to Do-hyun's feet. He tried to step back but couldn't move. The light held him in place. "What's happening?" he shouted, but no one was there to answer. The arch's interior, which had been empty darkness, now filled with swirling energy. Colors Do-hyun didn't have names for danced and merged. He heard sounds like music and voices speaking languages he'd never heard. The golden light from the arch reached out toward him like fingers. Then the alarms started. Different alarms this time, coming from all around the station. Do-hyun heard the sound of running feet and mechanical whirring. Within seconds he was surrounded by armed guards. They weren't human. Some had 4 arms and blue skin. Others looked like they were made of living crystal. A few seemed to be floating clouds of energy held together by force fields. All of them pointed weapons at Do-hyun. "Freeze," one of them shouted in accented English. She was tall with 4 arms, each holding a different weapon. Her blue skin had silver markings that looked like military tattoos. "Step away from the portal of Ascended Ones." "I can't," Do-hyun yelled back. "It won't let me move." The 4-armed commander came closer, her eyes wide with shock. "That's impossible. The portal hasn't activated in 300 years. How did you—" She stopped talking and stared at Do-hyun. Then she looked at the arch, which was now fully active and glowing so bright it was hard to look at directly. She spoke into a device on her wrist. "Commander Velrith to High Archon Thessia. We have a situation on Platform 0. The portal has activated. I repeat, the portal has activated for a human. More people arrived. Some wore robes, others wore armor, and a few wore nothing at all, their bodies too alien to need clothes. They all stared at Do-hyun and whispered to each other." He caught words like impossible, prophecy, and catastrophe. An older woman walked through the crowd. She was humanoid, but her skin was pale purple and her eyes glowed white with no pupils. She wore simple gray robes and radiated an aura of authority that made even the armed guards step back. "I am High Archon Thessia," she said in perfect English. Her voice echoed strangely, as if speaking directly into Do-hyun's mind. "Tell me your name, human." "Do-hyun. Kim Do-hyun. I'm just a cargo pilot. I don't know what's happening. My ship malfunctioned and I crashed here and then I touched something and—" Silence. Thessia raised one hand. She closed her eyes and tilted her head as if listening to something only she could hear. After a long moment, she opened her eyes and looked at Do-hyun with an expression he couldn't read. "You should not be able to activate this portal. According to the ancient laws, only a paragon can make it respond." "A what?" Do-hyun asked. Commander Velrith spoke up. "A paragon is a legendary hero. Someone who has saved worlds or united civilizations. Someone who has proven themselves worthy through great deeds. The portal recognizes them and offers them a path to something greater." "But I haven't done any of that," Do-hyun protested. "I deliver supplies. That's it. I've never saved anyone or done anything important." "There must be a mistake." "The portal does not make mistakes," Thessia said quietly. She looked troubled. "In all recorded history, it has only activated for beings of proven greatness. Yet here you stand, an ordinary human, and the portal responds to you as if you were the greatest hero in the galaxy." The light from the arch grew stronger. Do-hyun felt a pulling sensation, like gravity but sideways. The portal wanted him to enter. The golden energy reached out further, almost touching him now. "What happens if I go inside?" Do-hyun asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Thessia and Velrith exchanged looks. Finally Thessia spoke. "No one knows. Those who enter never return to tell us. We assume they ascend to a higher plane of existence. Or they die. The ancient texts are unclear. That's not helpful." Do-hyun's voice cracked with fear. The pulling sensation grew stronger. His feet began to slide across the glowing symbols toward the arch. He tried to resist, but it was like fighting a river current. The guards raised their weapons, unsure what to do. Should we pull him back? Velrith asked Thessia. The High Archon shook her head slowly. We cannot interfere with the portal's choice. It is forbidden. Whatever happens next was meant to happen. But I don't want to go in there, Doyen shouted. He grabbed onto a piece of his crashed ship, but the metal crumpled in his hands like paper. The portal's pull was too strong. His feet left the ground. He floated toward the swirling energy inside the arch. The colors grew brighter and brighter until he couldn't see anything else. The last thing he heard was Thessia's voice, calm and sad. May you find what you seek, Paragon, or may you rest in peace. Then Do-hyun fell into the light and the world disappeared. The mark on his hand burned hot for the first time since he'd received it. Do-hyun looked down and saw the constellations. The Convergence Station became a war headquarters almost overnight. Ships arrived from every corner of the galaxy, carrying soldiers, weapons, and refugees fleeing the advancing darkness. Do-hyun watched from the observation deck as more systems went dark on the stellar maps. Each vanishing light represented billions of lives consumed by the Void Collective. Stop torturing yourself, Yuna said, standing beside him. She'd been working non-stop in the medical bays, treating refugees who'd barely escaped. You didn't cause this. You don't know that, Do-hyun replied. The guilt sat in his stomach like a stone. The portal activated because of me. If I'd just crashed somewhere else, or if I'd died in the crash, maybe none of this would be happening. Yuna grabbed his shoulders and forced him to look at her. Listen to me. Thessia's people have been analyzing the seal's remains. It was already failing. The void would have broken free within a year anyway. If anything, the portal's energy might have bought us time by giving us warning. Maybe. Do-hyun wasn't convinced, but he appreciated her trying. Commander Velrith approached them, her expression grim. The Council has made a decision. We're assembling a strike team to investigate the Vault of Echoes, where the original seal was placed. Maybe we can find a way to repair it or at least slow the void's advance. Who's going? Do-hyun asked. Me, General Krask, Ambassador Taemin, and a few specialists from various species. Velrith paused. The Council also voted to include you. What? Why? Because your mark has been reacting to the void's movements. Every time it advances, your constellation pattern changes. You're connected to this somehow. Maybe you can sense things we can't. Yuna stepped between them. Absolutely not. He's not a soldier. He's not trained for this. I've been training him for 3 months, Velrith said. He's not useless, and we need every advantage we can get. I'll go, Do-hyun said quietly. Do-hyun, no. I have to, Yuna. If there's even a chance I can help, I have to try. You know I do. His sister looked like she wanted to argue more, but she knew him too well. Instead, she set her jaw stubbornly. Then I'm coming too. My research on cellular regeneration might be useful if the void corrupts organic matter. Velrith looked surprised. Dr. Kim, this will be dangerous. I don't care. Where my brother goes, I go. Besides, you'll need a medical expert. From what I've seen of the refugees, the void's touch leaves people in terrible condition. I can help with that. After more debate, the council approved Yuna's inclusion. Jiwoo also volunteered, arguing that her diplomatic skills might be needed and that she spoke 17 different languages. The final team consisted of 7 members. They gathered in the hangar bay the next morning. Do-hyun met the other members for the first time. General Krask was even more intimidating up close. The reptilian commander stood nearly 8 feet tall with red scales and yellow eyes that never stopped scanning for threats. But when he spoke to Do-hyun, his voice was respectful. I still think you're too soft to be a paragon, Krask said. But you have courage. That counts for something. Try not to die quickly. Ambassador Taemin was calm and reassuring. I've dealt with ancient mysteries before, Do-hyun. Sometimes the answer isn't fighting, but understanding. Keep an open mind. The other specialists included a mind weaver named Solis who could link their thoughts for better coordination, a weapons expert called Rake, whose species looked like walking crystals, and a navigator named Finn who was simply the best at finding things in deep space. Their ship, the Ascendant, was fast and well-armed. It cut through space toward the coordinates of the Vault of Echoes, which lay in an abandoned sector near where the void had been sealed centuries ago. During the 3-day journey, Do-hyun tried to learn everything he could about their enemy. The records were incomplete and terrifying. The Void Collective wasn't just a predator. It was something far stranger. It converts matter and consciousness, Taemin explained, showing him old reports. When it consumes a world, the people don't just die. They become part of it. Their minds join the collective. That's why it's so dangerous. Every victim makes it smarter and stronger. How was it defeated before? Do-hyun asked. 6 paragons worked together to seal it in a pocket dimension. The seal was supposed to hold forever, powered by their combined life force. But they all died creating it. Do-hyun felt cold, so even legendary heroes couldn't destroy it. They could only trap it, yes, and now it's free. On the second night of travel, Do-hyun couldn't sleep. He found Velrith in the training room, practicing with her weapons. She moved through combat forms with perfect precision, all 4 arms working in harmony. Can't sleep either, she asked without stopping. Thinking too much, Do-hyun admitted. He sat on a bench and watched her train. Velrith, why are you helping me? You could have demanded the council lock me up, but you didn't. The commander finally stopped and turned to face him. For a long moment, she just studied him with her alien eyes. Then she sat down next to him. 20 years ago, my homeworld was attacked by raiders. I was a young soldier, inexperienced and frightened. We were losing badly. Then a paragon arrived, a being of pure light named Zenith. He turned the tide of battle single-handedly. Did he save everyone? No, thousands still died. But he saved enough. And more importantly, he changed how we saw ourselves. Before Zenith, my people thought we were weak. After seeing him fight for us, we found courage we didn't know we had. That's what a paragon does. They don't just save people. They inspire them to save themselves. Velrith looked at Do-hyun's marked hand. You're not like the old paragons. You're not powerful or confident. But I've watched you these past months. You help people instinctively. You see potential where others see failure. That might be more valuable than any weapon. Before Do-hyun could respond, the ship shuddered. Alarms blared through the corridors. We've arrived, Finn's voice came over the intercom. But we have a problem. They rushed to the bridge. Through the viewport, Do-hyun saw the Vault of Echoes, a massive structure floating in the void between stars. It looked like a cathedral made of crystallized time, with spires reaching out in all directions. Beautiful and haunting. But surrounding it were dozens of void ships. They didn't look like normal vessels. They were organic, pulsing things that seemed to exist partially in regular space and partially somewhere else. As Do-hyun watched, one of them consumed a piece of asteroid and the rock simply dissolved into darkness. They're already here, Krask growled. They're trying to break into the vault. Why? Yuna asked. What's in there? Thessia's voice came over the communication channel. She'd remained on the convergence to coordinate the defense efforts. The vault doesn't just hold the seal. It holds the knowledge of how the seal was created. If the void learns that, it could prevent us from ever sealing it again. We have to stop them, Jiwoo said. Against dozens of void ships? Rake's crystalline form flickered with doubt. We're just one vessel. Do-hyun felt his mark burning again. The constellations on his hand swirled faster, pointing toward the vault. He had a sudden absolute certainty. We can make it. I don't know how I know, but we can. Krask looked at him, then nodded slowly. Then we go. Finn, plot us a course through their formation. Everyone else prepare for combat. The Ascendant dove toward the vault, engines screaming. Void ships turned to intercept, firing weapons that bent space itself. Finn's piloting was incredible, threading through attacks that should have destroyed them. Rake manned the weapons, his crystalline fingers moving faster than Do-hyun could follow. They got close to the vault's entrance, but 3 void ships blocked their path. Krask roared in frustration. We can't get through. Then Do-hyun felt the resonance activate on its own. His mark blazed with golden light, and he understood. He placed his hand on the ship's console. I can enhance the ship, he said, surprised by his own words. Make it faster, stronger. But I need everyone to trust me. Do it, Velrith said immediately. Do-hyun focused, pouring the resonance into the ship itself. He felt it respond, felt its potential awakening. The Ascendant's engines roared with new power. Its shields solidified. For just a few seconds, the ship became more than it was designed to be. They shot forward, smashing through the void ship's formation. The entrance to the vault opened before them, ancient mechanisms recognizing Do-hyun's mark. They flew inside just as the enhancement faded, and the massive doors sealed shut behind them. They'd made it. But now they were trapped inside with whatever the void was searching for. The team disembarked into the vault's main chamber. It was vast and filled with floating platforms, each one covered in writing from long-dead civilizations. At the center stood a broken seal, its pieces scattered across the floor. Dark energy leaked from it like smoke. The seal is completely destroyed, Taman said, examining the pieces. We can't repair this, and then what do we do? Yuna asked. Dohyun walked toward the broken seal, drawn by something he couldn't explain. As he got closer, he heard a voice. Not with his ears, but directly in his mind. Help us, the voice whispered. It sounded desperate and ancient. Please help us. Who are you? Dohyun asked aloud. The dark energy from the broken seal coalesced into a form. It looked vaguely humanoid, but made entirely of shadow and starlight. The others raised. The entropy wraiths moved through space like wounds in reality itself. They weren't ships or creatures in any normal sense. They were absences, holes where existence simply stopped. Dohyun felt his mind struggle to process what he was seeing. Every time he tried to focus on one, his eyes watered and his head ached. What are they? Yuna whispered, gripping Dohyun's arm. Death, the shadow being replied. The end of everything. They exist between dimensions, feeding on universes that have grown old and are ready to collapse. But your universe is young, vibrant. They shouldn't be here yet. But they are, Krask said, all four hands tightening on his weapons. Can we fight them? No, not directly. They exist partially outside your reality. Physical weapons pass through them. Energy weapons feed them. The only thing that ever hurt them was us, the Void Collective, because we exist in the same state they do. The vault shook again. Through the walls, they watched void ships engage the entropy wraiths. The battle was chaos. When void weapons hit the wraiths, they actually caused damage, tearing holes in the creatures' non-bodies. But there were so few void ships and hundreds of wraiths. The collective is fighting them, Jiwoo observed. Even now, even after everything, they're defending the galaxy. We have fragments of our old purpose left, the shadow being said. But we're too few. When the Paragon sealed us away, they destroyed most of our mass. We're dying. The wraiths know this. They're here to finish us, and then nothing will stop them from consuming everything. Dohyun felt his mark burning. The resonance was trying to tell him something, pushing him toward an idea that terrified him. What if we freed you completely? Not just the small pieces that escaped, but all of you. Would you be strong enough then? Perhaps. But the other species would never allow it. They fear us too much. They'll have to allow it, Dohyun said, making a decision that he knew would change everything. Because I'm going to make them understand. He turned to Solus, the Mind Weaver. Can you create a telepathic link? Not just with our team, but with everyone? The convergence station, the fleet ships, everyone watching this? Solus's energy form flickered with uncertainty. Such a link across such distance would require immense power. More than I possess. Dohyun held up his marked hand. Use this. Use my resonance. It's meant to connect and inspire, right? Let's see how far it can reach. Dohyun, that could kill you, Yuna protested. We don't know the limits of your ability. I know. But if we don't try, everyone dies anyway. He looked at each member of his team. Trust me, please. Velrith placed one of her 4 hands on his shoulder. Do it. Solus floated closer to Dohyun. This will hurt. Your consciousness will touch billions of minds simultaneously. The strain might break you. I understand. I'm ready. Solus extended tendrils of telepathic energy toward Dohyun's mark. When they connected, pain exploded through his skull. But beneath the pain, he felt connections forming. First his team, their thoughts and feelings flowing into him. Then it expanded. The convergence station, the defensive fleets, the refugees, further and further, spreading across the galaxy like ripples on water. Billions of voices filled his mind. He could hear their fears, their hopes, their confusion about what was happening. It was overwhelming. He started to lose himself in the ocean of consciousness. Then Yuna grabbed his other hand. Stay with us, brother. Focus on why you're doing this, her voice anchored him. Dohyun focused, using the resonance to organize the chaos. He showed everyone what he was seeing. The vault, the entropy wraiths, the desperate battle outside, the shadow beings' memories of the void's true origin and purpose. Across the galaxy, beings who had feared the void for generations suddenly understood the truth. The collective wasn't a mindless plague. It had been a guardian that lost its way. They're not our enemy. Dohyun's voice echoed through the telepathic link, reaching every connected mind. They're our shield against something worse. We sealed them away because we didn't understand. Now we know better. Now we can choose differently. He felt resistance. Centuries of fear and hatred didn't disappear instantly. But he also felt something else. Curiosity, willingness to reconsider, hope. General Krask spoke, his thoughts strong and clear across the link. I have fought the void for 30 years. I have lost soldiers to them, but I have also fought beside this human. He sees truths that warriors like me miss. If he says we need the void's help, then I believe him. Commander Velrith added her voice. A paragon's purpose is to unite, not divide. To build bridges where others see only chasms. I stand with Do Yun. One by one, voices joined them. Species that had been enemies for generations agreed on this one thing. The Void Collective needed to be freed. High Archon. Thessia's consciousness joined the link from the convergence station. Then it is decided. Break the seal completely. Free the Void. And may the ancient laws forgive us if we're wrong. Do-hyun turned to the shadow being. How do we break it? The seal was powered by the life force of 6 paragons. To break it completely requires a paragon to willingly undo their sacrifice. It will cost you, human. Perhaps everything. I know. Do-hyun walked toward the broken seal's remains. The dark energy swirled around him, cold and ancient. He placed his marked hand on the largest fragment. The resonance exploded outward. Do-hyun felt his life force pouring into the seal, unmaking what the ancient paragons had created. The pain was indescribable. He felt himself burning away, his consciousness dissolving into the energy required to break centuries-old bonds. Do-hyun. Yuna screamed, trying to pull him away, but Velrith held her back. Let him finish. This is his choice. The seal shattered completely. Dark energy erupted from the vault, flowing out into space. It formed into a massive shape, larger than planets, a being of pure shadow and starlight. The full Void Collective freed at last. Do-hyun collapsed, barely conscious. His mark had stopped glowing. He felt hollow, empty, like everything that made him himself was gone. Through blurry vision, he watched the Void Collective engage the entropy wraiths. Now the battle truly began. The Void was strong again, whole again. It remembered its purpose. The wraiths had no answer for its ferocity. One by one they were torn apart and cast back into the dimensions between dimensions. But there were so many wraiths. Even the restored Void struggled against their numbers. It's not enough, Taemin said quietly. They're still losing. Do-hyun tried to stand but couldn't. His body wouldn't respond. He was dying. He could feel it. The resonance had burned too bright, consumed too much of him. Then he felt something strange. The Void Collective's consciousness touched his mind. It was gentle, careful, nothing like the monster he'd heard about in stories. Thank you, little human, it said. You gave us back ourselves. Now let us give you something in return. Dark energy flowed into Do-hyun, but it wasn't consuming him. It was sustaining him. The Void was sharing its essence, integrating a part of itself with his failing body. The pain stopped. His mark began glowing again, but now it was mixed with shadows alongside the golden light. What did you do? Do-hyun asked weakly. Made you like us? Part human, part void. You will live, but changed. We are connected now. You are the bridge between your people and ours. Do-hyun felt different. Stronger, but also strange. He could sense things he couldn't before. The spaces between spaces. The potential in darkness as well as light. He stood up and his team gasped. Shadow and light swirled around him. The constellation mark on his hand now pulsed with both gold and darkness in equal measure. I'm okay, he said, though he wasn't entirely sure that was true. And I have an idea. He reached out with his new hybrid consciousness. Through the telepathic link that still connected the galaxy, he spoke directly to the entropy wraiths. Not with words, but with understanding. He showed them images. His own species, humanity, crawling out of caves just thousands of years ago. Now they traveled the stars. He showed them the other species, each one evolving, growing, creating beauty and meaning. He showed them potential. Your purpose is to harvest dead universes, Do-hyun said to the wraiths. To recycle what has ended so new things can begin. But this universe isn't dead. Look at it, really look. It's full of life and possibility. It's growing. It's young. For the first time, the entropy wraiths paused their attack. They had no faces, no expressions, but Do-hyun felt their attention focus on him. We have never been stopped before. Their collective voice echoed. We have never been asked to wait. We have never encountered resistance with understanding. Then this is new for both of us, Do-hyun replied. You're just following your nature. I understand that. But so are we, fighting to survive and grow. Can't we find a compromise? The wraiths were silent for a long moment. Then they spoke again. Prove that this universe deserves to continue. Show us unprecedented unity and growth within one rotation of your primary star. If you succeed, we will depart and return only when this universe naturally reaches its end. If you fail, we continue our harvest. How long is that? Yuna asked. 24 of your hours, Jiwoo translated. Do-hyun felt the weight of the challenge. Save the entire universe in one day. But when he looked at his team, at the billions of minds still connected through his resonance, he didn't see it as impossible. He saw it as a chance. We accept, he said.